Hello again, everyone. This is Bionic Slime. I'm your online voice for reviews of your choice, and this is another installment of BS Reviews. Today, I will be reviewing one of my requested anime series, requested by Infinity and 2. This is an anime series that has been regarded by many to be the greatest anime series of all time, very influential, very epic, and just one of the greatest shows ever made in general by most people. And I have a lot of opinions on this show, so I'm actually making a second additional video to this review just to further explain my comments on the show. I'm talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion is brought to you by ADV Films, and the films for Evangelion were brought by Manga Entertainment. It was also made by GAINAX, the anime company that gave us such titles as Mahoro-matic, Magical Shopping Arcade Abenobashi, and Fooly Cooly. It was directed by Hideaki Anno, who also directed Nadia's Secret of Blue Water, Gunbuster, and Cutie Honey. It stars the vocal talents of Amanda Wyn-Lee as Rei Ayanami, Tiffany Grant as Asuka Langley Soryu, Spike Spencer as Shinji Ikari, Tristan McAvery as Gendo Ikari, Alison Keith as Misato Katsuragi, and Sue Ulu as Ritsuko Akagi. The plot of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Set in a futuristic Tokyo, Gendo Ikari is the cold-hearted bastard father of our main character, Shinji Ikari, who has been reluctantly recruited by his hateful father to pilot a humanoid robot known as an Eva. They are human machines that are designed to battle angels, monsters which have been brought about by a catastrophic event that nearly destroyed the world called the Second Impact, and since then have been trying to destroy the world, which is why Gendo Ikari created NERV, an organization designed for fighting against the angels, and he does that with these special humanoid robots known as Eva units. Each Eva unit has a number, like Eva Unit 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, etc. Each Eva unit can only be piloted by a specific young person who fits the psychological and genetical capabilities to pilot these machines. And it's through this that Shinji must fight for his father's approval, fight for the world's safety, and along with his other young pilot friends like Rei Ayanami and Asuka Langley, must try to save the world from being destroyed by the angels. Review of the plot. One of the biggest things that people praise about Evangelion is its insanely high intellectual rating and the fact that it uses so many sophisticated religious symbolism and just really deep philosophical meanings. The show is generally categorized as a mecha anime, which it really is. I mean, it's about giant robots. But obviously, people know that there's so much more to this show. However, my problem with this show is not with the plot concept, as it is actually quite interesting and compelling, because you really want to see where this story is going to fold out to, because there's so much conspiracy and mystery going on in the show. However, right off the bat, the biggest problem I have with Neon Genesis Evangelion's story is the contradiction to the use of religious symbolism in the show. The creators actually have openly admitted that there is actual no depth or backbone to the religious symbolism that is used in the show. It's all bullshit. It's pretty much just used for shock value, because in Japan, religion is a very spooky little thing. It's just something that they are not too familiar with and are less frightened by it. So, in that regard, I'm actually quite disappointed that a show that prides itself on being so intelligent is contradicting itself right away by using religious symbolism that they openly admit there's nothing more to. However, I do commend them for creating a very compelling storyline which has so many twists and turns and such deep, intellectual, sophisticated conspiracy plots that even if the outcome is a very sour and bitter one, you really do want to see where this all turns out to. So for that, I really do commend them. Review of the characters. Right away again, we reach another problem with Evangelion. On the one hand, they have some of the greatest characters ever. I mean, no one is going to ever doubt, myself included, how iconically infamous these characters are. Rei, Asuka, Shinji, Misato, Gendo, everyone knows them. They know what they look like, they know what they sound like. You see them at cons, they're instantly recognizable, and they're famous, infamous, no matter what you call them. But the problem is, I found myself actually hating the main characters and liking the side characters even more. But that's not the real issue here. The real issue is, what are these characters like? And to answer that, they're actually quite interesting, because they really don't do anything in the terms of changing. They don't progress at all. The main character is Shinji and Rei and Asuka, they're all really well acted. I mean, I give them such commendable performances, particularly Shinji and Asuka. Tiffany Grant and Spike Spencer are some of the best ADV has to offer. I've always loved Spike Spencer. I think he's a fantastic actor, and it's a shame I didn't really hear him in too many other things. Tiffany Grant you hear everywhere, though, but this is by far probably her best emotional vocal performance, because this character requires such dramatic emotions, from her obnoxious moments to her good moments, and it's really hard to pull it off. Another good one is Tristan McAvery as Gendo Ikari, who just is flawless. I mean, he plays this character excellently and superbly, and you really get a sense of just how he is from this excellent voice actor. My personal favorite, though, probably has to go to Alison Keith as Misato Katsuragi. She was fantastic. She was very deep. She was funny. She was cute. She was interesting. She was sexy. She's always been a very talented and had a lovely voice actress in the anime that I've seen her in. And while this is not my favorite role for her, it's probably the favorite for many people. I still adored her performance in here. Sue Ulu as Dr. Ritsuko, I was actually kind of disappointed on, because I loved her as Kay in Dirty Pair Flash, but many people I've actually heard have agreed with me on this, that she gives a very wooden performance as Dr. Ritsuko. She's pretty simple. It's blasé. There's not really a lot going on with the performance, capacity. Rei is funny because she's very soft-spoken. It's really hard to get a sense of just who she is, because she barely says anything. I mean, she's very, very quiet throughout most of the whole show. But for the little she says, it was really presented well. So I really commend her for doing a good job on that. Just soft vocal performances, and yet it still managed to capture the effect of the character, and you can still get enough of emotion out of detecting from it. Review the animation and the music. Music was weird. At times it was beautiful, at times it was just weird. The do 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 tune that they have in Misato's apartment Shinji, I never really cared for it. It just seemed like a little vain attempt to make the show seem humorous, and which eventually gets lost as the series progresses, which is another weird thing. But the music other times was really good. I mean, they used a lot of epic and instrumental scores, like Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, I believe, in the show, and that's really great because it's nice to see such deep use of music in a show like that. Animation was also kind of a toss-up. At times, it was really detailed. The animation on the Eva units would look spectacular, really gritty designs, really excellent look. So, I mean, at times it was really good. Other times, it was just very simple. Some of the characters just look kind of like pretty basic. Sometimes they didn't really look like they didn't put all the effort in. So, I mean, it was kind of like the show was on a teeter-totter. On the one hand, you got this great thing, then you got this weaker thing, and then this and that. I mean, it kind of went around the place, that's why it makes it kind of hard to rate this series. And it's funny because so many people say it's so epic and grand, and yet there are so many bouncing, dual sides to it, which brings us to the flaws of the series. As I mentioned, there are a lot of things I was disappointed in here, but some of the things that really pissed me off that I haven't mentioned yet, one is the fact that the characters, for the main ones, are so obnoxious and just annoying to watch that it's hard for me to get connected to them. Shinji is very whiny, and Asuka is probably one of the most annoying and obnoxious characters I've ever seen. I don't care how iconic or attractive she is, she's just downright rude. And another problem is, like I said, the side characters had more interesting subtext storylines than the main characters. In fact, none of the main characters actually changed. They remained the same from start to finish, and that's not really good character development. One of the biggest things I was upset about was the very awkward, clunky use of Asuka's German accent. It's like she's supposed to be German, and then she only occasionally speaks German, like for a joke or a slang word, which is really redundant because the same actress played an almost identical character named Zatella Harvenheit in Chrono Crusade. She was also an obnoxious woman with red hair, very beautiful yellow dress, and had a German accent, except she actually kept the German accent to the whole series, whereas Asuka only brings it out when it's either funny or she's saying something in German. And it's just like my friend always says jokes. He goes, "Oh, look, it's the girl who's occasionally German." I'm sorry, but that makes it look kind of sloppy. Very sloppy, actually. Final wrap-up. There really is not enough to say in my Evangelion review to cover everything I'm saying, which is why I'm doing the second half of the video. But for what I can say now, I do have to say that despite the massive flaws in the contradictory hypocrisy with the religious symbolism and the annoying characters, this anime does have such amazingly emotional shock and depth that you do need to see it at least once. I really think there was a lot going on in this show, a really creative storyline, but it's kind of hard for me to sink into it because you had some really obnoxious central characters, especially when the side characters are far more interesting and compelling in my opinion. So I decided to try and be a little bit generous. I don't agree it's the greatest, but I do agree that this anime deserves a 3 stars out of 5 stars. Well, that's all for now. This has been Bionic Slime for BS Reviews. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for part 2 of my special Evangelion review.